Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Tuesday night Q&A ahead of round 7. Apologies for those that are listening on live for the wait. My microphone decided to stuff itself up, and I couldn't hear anything Jordox or Tom were saying pre-show. So we couldn't get it started because if I can't hear what they're saying, it's not going to run very well. So I had to get the built-in old Apple headphones out and plug it into laptop. So hopefully these work, and hopefully I can hear Jordox and Tom throughout the remaining of the show. But jumping on is two of our fantasy fanatics. It is Jordox and Tom. Start with Jordox. Jordox, mate, how are you besides fantasy? I know it was a tough round for you, mate, but how is everything else besides fantasy?
Oh, would it be too dramatic to say woe is me? Probably. Yeah, that was an all-time Scheisenhausen weekend of fantasy, fellas. But that aside, doing pretty well. Kids went back to school this week, so the house is a lot quieter, which is nice during the week. And pretty pumped for this weekend. Heap of footy. I'm going to catch up with a mate for a couple of days, and we're just going to watch every game pretty much. So bring on the weekend, and let's just forget round 6 ever happened. Except for the Crows. That was a good win.
Yes, yeah. We spoke about it on Sunday, but yes, the heart was certainly going a million miles an hour in that last quarter, which is fun, but hopefully a big bounce back round coming up for you, mate. And Tom is jumping on, mate. I know you've been busy with work the last few days, so you've been pretty much flat track pretty much the last few days, but how are you, mate?
Yeah, I've been very, very busy with work over the weekend. Sorry for missing the last 2 of these. All sorted now, so I'm back on and trying to work out what I'm going to do this week because it feels weird not having any forced trades.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's at this stage, touch wood for all of us that nothing happens out of the blue in the next couple of days. But we're actually looking potentially, we're heading into upgrade season and looking to actually get some of these rookies up and get them up to some premiums, some undervalued guys that we can start to fill out our squads getting ready because we're closing in on the buys. They're coming pretty fast, only about just over a month away. So looking forward to the next few weeks, hopefully being able to upgrade our team.
This is wonderful. Wonderful news for everyone on the panel, but me. Good times. Good times.
What have you? So, what are the issues that you have to deal with, Jordox? Because obviously,
all right, let's do it. Let's get the big whinge out of the way, and then I'll shut up and we'll move on. Look, I've made some interesting decisions along the way at the start of this year that haven't gone my way clearly, but the big one on last week was my trades were going to be. Not including Grind Myers because I thought he was only out for 1 week. And on Thursday, when the teams came out, yeah, that's right. So Thursday teams came out and Myers was out. And I was tossing up whether or not to change my trade from, what was it? Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I was bringing in Cozzy Pickett and Angus Anderson on Thursday. I was all happy with that. And then Myers was out. And I was like, if I don't trade Myers, I have to rely on Lombard on field. And I didn't want to just pivot and change my trade and panic because I thought it was just a grumbly knee for Myers. So I went ahead with my trades, fielded Leo Lombard, who scored 30. And then found out the next day that Grind Myers had maybe done an ACL and he's a forced trade this week. And then on top of that, Tom DeConning, he can get in the bin. Just a long list of absolute crap. Yeah. So this week I've got Grind Myers, Tom DeConning, and I've still got Buderick sitting there who may just sit there until he returns.
Yeah, well,
and that is the whinge. That is the whinge over, fellas. Thank you for indulging me.
Yeah. that is all good. Yeah, no, the TDK one is that's like, even the Myers one, right? Like it's Geelong, right? So that's probably where we go. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's Geelong, but we're like as you said, we thought it was just a grumbly knee. Then they go, oh, actually, by the way, he may have a an ACL injury that may require surgery. And now they're saying something about they're going to assess it in a couple of weeks and sort of see what they're going to do. But I'm just like, surely you know, for the on ACL you get surgery. If it's not, I'm sure you do something. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah,
I'm not,
it's weird.
not a surgeon, whatever. It is a bit of a strange case there. Almost as strange as the Zach Butters tribunal thing that's been going on for last fortnight. But let's move into other fantasy topics. Here we do have a couple of super chats to kick things off straight away. So thank you to those. So Tim, who's always in the super chats, thank you, mate. He's saying hi, Taezer, but Taezer isn't on with us tonight. But I'll just assume he's saying hi, fellas. He has 200k in the bank. He's looking to get Archie Roberts, Nasai, or Cozzy Pickett. Tom, if you had to pick one of those three, where would you be going?
I'm just going to say West Coast, Carlton, Gold Coast, Richmond, and the best trading, in my opinion, this week is Nasai Wankley-Miller. That is a great run for him. He's still under $1 million.
Yeah, he's only went up 4k last week, so 997 at the moment.
Yeah, 997. I just think that's an absolute layup. Great run ahead. The Eagles have nobody to go with him who can match him for his physicality and run. I think he is currently my captain for this week. So that's how strong I am.
Yeah,
on the side. Yeah.
Well, I've done the captain's research early, so obviously we'll have to wait till Thursday. But Nasai is in the top 10. But probably not a huge surprise because there's a pretty good matchup this week. Tom Bain's got a super chat. Thank you, mate. He's saying, talk me out of Jai Amos cash grab for 3 weeks. To be honest, I have not even probably spent a second looking at Jai Amos in fantasy.
He's 530k. Tom, love your name. I don't think his if he averages 60, he's only going to go about 80, 90k in these 3 weeks. And that's him averaging 60, which James, that's about where I see him. He will have some pop scores, but he will have some serious flaws. I don't think the upside is there enough after a pop game against one of the worst sides in the comp. So yeah, I Freo's run, Carlton, okay, but then Bulldogs, Hawthorn, I just don't see major points there for him. So I think that's just going to be a problem you trade into, and you're not gaining enough cash in that 3 weeks to justify it.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. And another Tom, but Thomas Elliott has got this super chat. Thank you, mate. Jordox is asking, saying, evening, gents. Can you tick off Jagger to Cam Zurhaar, which gets Leo Lombard off field, who's currently at F6, and then going early on Colby to Nasai, leaving 15k. Thanks, lads. So I think we've got a couple of players to chat about here. So firstly, we'll chat about Cam Zurhaar. And actually, well, no, I was going to chat at him and Cole, right? We'll talk in the same conversation to us. I don't think many of us, anyone, I don't reckon anyone in the AFL community, and not even just fantasy, just broader, would have seen Cam Zurhaar going into defence and played pretty well. And that meant Colby went forward, but obviously was just a roaming around everywhere where he wanted, which probably isn't exactly what we'd rather him be off half back, but it's probably not as bad as what it has previously been. But firstly, what are your thoughts on Cam Zurhaar as an option? And then is there any worry for you about Colby? And then we'll touch on the trades.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, the Zurhaar one? I mean, none of us would be even remotely surprised if in 2 weeks' time he was back, at half forward, and yeah, you kind of stuck with him then. But look, desperate times, and it just occurred to me before we went live that I think I might end up be doing the Zurhaar move, but I don't know what this Tom's side looks like. It's probably not as bad as mine and as desperate. I like those trades. I mean, getting up to Naz makes sense. I don't know. I'm not as worried about McKercher. I think, considering the role, he's still punched out the 90. As Tom, you sort of said in the chat on the weekend, like, yes, he's at half forward, but as soon as the ball's bounced or thrown rather. He's back up the ground, roaming and doing his normal thing. So I don't know. I don't mind it. I don't mind the idea of getting Naz in. I think the thing that sticks out the most in that question is getting Lombard off F6. So if you can find another way to do that, I'd probably look for some other way, because I don't think Jagger's done. I don't think Colby's done. And yeah. What do you reckon, Tom? You reckon Jagger can go?
I reckon Jagger can go. He's in my trade out plans this week. He's break evens in the mid 50s. Since Chera's come back, that role has got distinctly worse. I just don't see him having that ceiling that we saw early season. Carlton's run is okay ahead the next couple, then it gets harder. I think he can go, and if he gets you to someone you want, then you can get off that. I don't see him making that much cash. I love the Nassin and getting off Colby. I think the role is absolutely fine, but it's not going to be. He will be traded out either on or before his bye, because not being in defence means he doesn't get those 3 points from kick-ins or the +6s from back pocket, getting that first possession from a kick-in. So that, I think that just caps his ceiling. Like that 90 was against Richmond.
And he played well. Like, he played well to get that 90. Normally, Colby plays well off half-back. He's like 115, 120. Like, you're looking at
and Richmond are bad. And we're bad on the weekend. So I quite like those trades. Zerha's a risk. It's going to be a week to week, and you can't even tell from teams where he's going to be. But I'd much prefer even a forward version of Zerha to Leo Lombard. He has. I know he's not shown it this year. He has been a half decent going forward for us, and he did give North Melbourne something which they haven't really had, as that kind of third man up interceptor. Charlie Common does it a bit, but he's having to lock down a bit more now. Quite a few of those intercept marks in that first half is something that North Melbourne don't tend to have in that back half, and gave them a little bit. So I'd be very surprised if it didn't persist at least for this week. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
The other reason I don't mind getting off Colby, and I guess my hesitation was like in terms of fixtures coming up, their fixture for me, looking at their next 4, is pretty horrible, particularly for defenders, where you're looking at Zerha being in defence, and then Colby, who obviously roams around everywhere. You've got GWS, Geelong, Sydney, Adelaide. I don't like any of those matchups for either of these guys, so I tick these trades off. And then obviously Jagger. The other thing to remember as well with Jagger is that I would imagine Hewitt does come back in at some point. Cooper Lord had a big game in the VFL on the weekend. He probably comes back in and gets some midfield time. So we may have at least 1, if not 2 more midfielders coming in to crowd that midfield even more than what it already is. So I just think Jagger could just be a half forward, and
it wouldn't
as you said, I think that ceiling's capped.
There's no sources from this. It wouldn't surprise me if Jagger had a blow for a week in the near future. Being his first season, even as a second-year player, his first season of playing off an ACL, it looks like he's just struggling with the pace a little bit, just watching him. Awesome player, going to be elite. Nothing against it. It just looks like he's feeling a little bit of playing week on week. And when you've got Hewitt and Cooper Lord, 30-plus touches on the weekend for both of them, surely one of them comes in. So yeah.
Well, just because I think that there is a chance that he does get a rest at some point, and maybe the trip over to Perth is the perfect time for that to be happening. I think that game's over in Perth, if I'm not mistaken, the Freo Carlton game on the Saturday. But I guess just before we, Jack's got a super chat there as well, which we will answer in a set. But just while we're on the topic of Jagger, we've got obviously a few rookies that have probably are looking towards topping out in cash. So you're thinking of like your Jagger Smith, Lockie Jakes, Sam Grill, probably being the 3 that a few people looked at. Obviously, Lombard, if you've got DPP to trade him out, I think. But where do we sit in the priorities in terms of where like they go out, Jordox? How would you rank, I guess, the three the main guys being Jakes, Jagger, and Grill, being those three? How would you rank them as trade outs for this week?
That was his first game back after the rest. I think you made good points on Jagger, Tom, to be fair. Maybe it's Grill. I think we talked a similar question last week, and who might be rested soon, who might be the one. I think it's probably still Grill.
Yeah, funny enough, I've been thinking about this the last probably day or so. I think I'm probably around to holding Grill out of all three. I think that.
Yeah, you like the fixture, don't you? I think you said
I
last
like
week.
Two things I like about Grill, and by no means am I saying you have to keep him, right? You can still trade him, right? Because take out that 90 that he had against Carlton in round one, he hasn't gone over 74. So he's at a cap city. But I just think the fixtures coming up is decent enough. And Sam Banks being out could mean that Grill goes back to half back and plays out back. Because he's been playing like half forward, midfield sort of type role, not really as much defence from what I've seen. I just wonder if he goes back to what he was doing in the preseason and early in the year. And then Jakes with the Dogs, there's so many injuries going around. He played every position besides the ruck last week. He was on the wing, forward, defence, everywhere. And then Jagger could get a rest. So that's probably where I'm at. So I've probably got it like in terms of trade outs. Maybe it's like Jagger / Jakes as the top and then Grill second. Tom, are you in agreement with that? Would you go to Grill out first? Where would you go with the three?
I'm in this boat. I think I'm probably trading Jagger or Jakes first, just because Grill has that flexibility in that defender mid position, and having as much DPP, to me it's as good a reason as any. I agree with you. I really like the Richmond run in the next couple of weeks. With them playing Melbourne and West Coast in the next couple. It's quite nice for scoring in those two for Grill. And he's shown that he has quite a high floor. So should hold cash. Since Jakes is 112 in round one, his scoring's been tailing off, including a rest, which the rest seemed a little bit bizarre, but Bevo does Bevo things. Probably wanted to get someone in the VFL in, and that was the reason we had to do it. But yeah, I think either Jagger or Jakes, depending on how that works with your getting the right players on the ground this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Jack Main, the super chat we're going to answer. So thank you, mate. He's asking about Grill to Angus Anderson and then Jakes to Nick Newman. All I can get up to is there anyone else who is more of a trade out than who I've traded? So still got Dawson and Myers. Well, Jack, I don't want to skip too far ahead to my trades, but they're pretty much the trades I've got at the moment. I still like the Angus Anderson play, even though he went up a bit of money last week. Eston this week, good matchup. I think he's shown enough to at least have a few more weeks in the team, even with DeGoey and Sidebottom likely back this week. And I like the Nick Newman play. I think I'm looking at it. People go, oh, you only end up on a 101 last week. But I'd probably look at it as the fact that I think we got lucky that he didn't go bigger. The fact that the game sort of changed a little bit in that second half. It wasn't as slow. It was quite fast-paced. And I just think that Newman could be quite good, particularly against Freo and St Kilda. And in terms of Dawson Myers, I think, though, I'd be trading Myers. We just don't know the timeline, right? They said a couple of weeks they're going to reassess, so I can't see him playing the next month, put it that way. And then I'll be holding Dawson. Obviously, we just don't know what's going to happen, right? With Dawson, obviously, moving forward. But I'd probably hold Dawson. I think I'd trade Myers there. And if you've got DPP, maybe go the rookie and then Myers to Newman and maybe another Prem. But if you can't, I think going like a Jakes or Grill to Anderson, then going Myers to a forward, Cozzy, Petrarca, someone like that, I think is probably where I'd probably go, Jack. And I see Tom's nodding his head, so I think we probably
yeah. Yeah, it just depends who you got at F6. So obviously you had someone at F6 covering Myers last week. If that is a Lombard or a Gallup or a Doveston, who else could you have who isn't great? That kind of player, I would be trading Myers to a forward 100% of the time. I'm currently running with Cook and Marshall at F5 and F6. And whilst I don't love it, I'm preferring to upgrade the rest of my side. I don't see a huge jump from those two to any of the forwards that I don't own. So I'm happy running with those two at F5 and F6. And if so, you can do that Myers to, if you have another forward somewhere floating around, then you can do Myers to somebody else, like a Newman or a Wangney Miller, whom I am very keen on this week.
Yeah, agree with that one. All right, let's go through some more of these questions. So keep chucking through your questions in the live chat at the bottom. Eskimo Brothers saying, who's the best forward rookie option? So we'll go to Jordox as the host of Finders Keepers. Who are any forward rookie options you like? I think the one that probably stood out to me is probably not a huge ceiling play, but maybe Sully Roby, probably the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, they look good, but yeah, there's not much down there because I'm sort of in the market for the same thing. Yeah, Roby would have been a bit more expensive though. Hey, he's
360, I think. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it is a lot though. Oh, could James Leake come in? I feel like we're going to be asking that question every week for a while.
I think you want probably someone that's going to stay in at least for a number of weeks. It's like Roby. Could you pay it for like a Todd Marshall? I know he's a bit more expensive.
No.
He's nearly 500k. Is that boat gone?
But Todd Marshall, as an owner, Todd Marshall is priced at 517. Like his fixture ahead, Geelong. Yeah, I just aren't. I think he's a mid-60s guy. So you're paying all that for 100k. Like, I think I'm having. If he holds this week, the one I probably would say is Ollie Hannaford. GWS have a really soft run after this week, or even including this week, with North, Gold Coast, Essendon, and West Coast in the next 4. But that job security is extremely average.
I think
other
Daniel's
than
back
that,
this week as well. Brent Daniels. I think Aaron Cadman as well. There's 2 forwards coming in.
Hopefully we'll get one name, if I'm honest.
I'll give you a spicy meatball. 393k. Carlton's number 1 ruck this week, Liam Reedy.
Well,
is Pitto a test or is he listed as like?
No, he's 1 to 2. He's 1 to 2.
Yeah, I think he broke his hand.
It's spicy.
1 to 2 weeks on the injury report.
It's spicy because, like, if Reedy actually has a really good game, you sort of go, well, they brought him over. Could they keep him in the team for a number of weeks? But and that's
the problem
spicy,
is
right?
Because Mackay's also out this week. Carlton have no tolls.
Hudson O'Keefe probably comes in as well. They probably
I'm looking at the by break even for the forwards, and I'm like, the only other one who you could have a go at, I mean, Sully Roby, I think he's probably the one you got to go with, right?
Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind. His job
security
is probably pretty good.
It's the best job security, I think.
Looked pretty good on the weekend as well. Yeah, and it wasn't just deep forward. He actually got up the ground a bit as well. So probably where I land. But yeah, we don't obviously love them. Obviously, we've got a couple of other mid rookies that we like, and a few people in the chat are also asking about: do we go Angus Anderson and pay up, or do we save the cash and go Pat Rechko? Because Rechko looked all right last week. I know that he got to a 65, I think, in the end. But the job security looks pretty good moving forward with a number of injuries there. So I want to get your boys' thoughts. Would you go Anderson this week to then go Rechko next week, or would you just go Rechko, pass on Anderson there? Because we're probably going to have Sam Cumming as well next fortnight, probably debut. We're probably going to have a Carmichael, maybe with the injuries of the Dogs get known. So we've got a couple of pretty good rookies. So
Where does Charlie Edwards sit in that conversation? Because
he's another one,
defender
right?
status as well.
Yeah, he's another option. I just wonder that with the round 12 bye being one sort of tiny sticking point that I'd like rookies that I had the round 12 bye, but just does he come out for when Dawson comes back, whenever that is? Is that the change? I think it shouldn't be because he played pretty well.
It's Anderson, or it's minus 30 to break even. It's Anderson. It's just the answer for me. It's just simply the answer.
And then get
I would
get some curves with is side bottom and Pendles and who's coming back for them? A couple. Anderson looks. Yeah. I think I'd be happy with Anderson, but I don't know. I didn't see Rechko play. I'm not sure how he went, but they are.
He had two.
They are lower numbers.
He had a really good start and a really good end when the game was dead. He was okay. He was fine, but when Richmond are bad and when North are steamrolling them in quarter 2 and quarter 3, he didn't score. But that's like everybody.
And Anderson was so prolific in both his games,
particularly second half when they got sort of really back into the game. And I think I'm Anderson, and I think he holds his spot moving forward because he's still an impact even starting at half forward coming up the ground. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have a quick look, but I'm pretty sure Anderson's CBAs did go up in the second half, and particularly the last quarter again, to get that bigger bodied mid in there. So I'm just pulling up the CBAs now. So CBAs for Collingwood. So in the first quarter, Anderson only had the one behind a few names. Second quarter, he only had the one again. But then in the third quarter, had one again. And then last quarter went up to 5. So, and that was only behind Dacos and Pendlebury. So that's probably a good sign. When the game was there to won, he went into the midfield. So I think his job security, at least for the next 3 weeks or so, is pretty good. So Minamoto's asking, is English playing this week? No, he's listed as 1 to 3 weeks on the injury report. And I think Drew Jones tweeted out before, or I saw it somewhere, saying that he's more unlikely to play this week. And it's very likely going to be next week or the week after is when he comes back. So he will not be there this week. Next question is from Glendy, says Naz or Newman. What do we think? I'm Naz. I think, Tom, you probably said that probably you'd be getting Naz.
Yeah, I think Naz is a top 6 player that you're getting for less than $1 million. And he has a 4-game run of pure gorgeousness. Like he could average 125 for the next 4 games, quite conservatively. If he's on, if he because if I was Ross, I'd give him a little bit of a spray. I didn't think he was. I thought he jogged up and down the middle of the ground a little bit last week. I didn't think he was as proactive as he has been in the past. I don't think the tag was that strong. I think he could have been more proactive, especially when the game was on the line. And I think he's going to come out and absolutely destroy some weak teams in the next month.
Yeah, I like it. I feel like probably the one time he looked like he really wanted to get involved a heap was the start of last quarter when he had like 8-9 disposals in the first 6-7 minutes. When he was taking kick-outs, getting a couple of handball receives and got like 3 kicks in like the one chain there. But yeah, it was a little bit quiet other than that. But if anyone was worried about that that glute injury that he pulled up,
Minamoto said he's got Nas, so just get Newman.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it was Minamoto. It was Glendy that asked that question. It was Naz. Minamoto had the last question, so there you go.
Yeah, sorry.
Brad Smith's got a good question. I think we're all thinking about this week because we've all got Zach Butters this week, and there is nothing more obvious this week than Oisin Mullen going towards Zach Butters this week. They match up well. Mullen kept him to very, very low scores last year, both sub 50 scores. And Brad says, with the tag coming to Butters this week, do we take an emergency score and bench Butters? And if so, what's the score we take on the bench? So, Jordox, it's not normally we're in this situation where we're like, we want to be benching a premium for the week. But I think this is a rare case where we've seen the recent history, and Rosie being out as well is probably also not a great thing. And Port haven't really shown a lot of sort of willingness to almost help Butters. It's almost like, anytime he's being tagged, there would be the odd bump, but they haven't really sort of blocked for him or anything like that. would you loop Butters with the E on him? Because a lot of people may say you've got like a Dev Rob still. You can maybe use that as a loop to see what Butters does. Would you loop a rookie first, like a Sarong, for example, and then see what he scores? If he goes 80, then bench Butters. How would you play? Or do you just play Butters straight on the field and you just go, I'm going to cop a lower score. Hopefully it's a 60, 70, and we move on to next week.
It's an interesting question, isn't it? And we did this. I remember we did this a couple of years ago with Lockie Neal. I remember looping him on a Thursday night, Friday night, and it worked. He only scored 50, 60. I don't think we're at that stage with Butters. I know what Mullen just did to Bont, and I know what Mullen does. He's very good, and he killed Rankin when we were against him as well. I guess there's a couple of things I'd want you to consider is the form and impact of Horn Francis on the weekend. I wouldn't rule out. I know it's very clearly looking like it would be a Butters tag, but I wouldn't rule out a bit of both. And then, Butters with his tags, I mean, he's been tagged pretty much every week this year, hasn't he? And, the weeks leading up to, I think, last week's score, it was a couple of weeks in a row he was tagged. He still had 30 touches both times. So, yeah, look, if you can loop him and you've got that sort of luxury and you're willing to have a go, but I wouldn't be doing it over a Sarong or a kid. I'd be looping kids before I loop Butters. I think he works his way to a 60, 70 at the very worst.
Yeah. Tom, your thoughts?
I mean, if you can do it and you maybe don't have if you don't have the rookies on the bench to loop, then you can definitely loop Butters with like a Blamires or a Carroll. But surely you're expecting Butters to score more than Blamires or Carroll. Later in the season, obviously, when we have all premiums and maybe even a 23rd. But this time of year, I think you've just, to me, he's gonna sit there. I'm gonna suck it up, and this is probably gonna be a tougher week for all of us Butters owners because those without Butters is gonna be making points on us in that primo slot. So,
Yeah, well, he's in 90% of 89% of the top 1% and 5%. So pretty much the majority of people have got him. I think at the moment, I'm just sticking him on field and just sucking it up. I'm hoping that with how good of a player Butters is, he learnt a lot from those 2 games last year because Mullen's the guy that's probably really got a hold of Butters. Like Butters has still had lower scores in the past, but he's still probably got a fair bit of the ball, whereas he hasn't got a lot of the ball against Mullen. And you sort of hope that Port, like they'll know that the tag's going to it, right? Like anyone, like we're talking about it now, it's Tuesday. Like they would have known in match committee meetings and stuff throughout the week that that's going to happen. So surely they've got plans in place. Maybe does Butters take maybe a kick in or two, maybe get him a couple of extra stats? Does he play half back? Maybe they try and move him around, try and block for him. Like there's going to be, I think, things are going to put in place, and I think you'll get to at least a 60, and it's not going to be as bad. Which I think if you look at the rookies, you're probably going to score anyway, right? So I think I'm probably in favour of looping a couple of rooks to get a better rookie score between them out than looping Butters there. Next question is from PG Chip. He's asking about, can you please rank these 3 forwards, Jordox? He's asking about McInerney, Jack Ross, and Hornbag is who he's asking to rank there. So how would you rank those 3? Because Ross was pretty good last week, and obviously a few injuries at Richmond at the moment. Obviously Taranto out this week. Horn Francis going really well, and McInerney playing also very well in that Sydney midfield.
Yeah, McInerney just keeps getting it done, doesn't he? What's he at? So he went big in opening round. He's gone 80, 80, 90, 90, 90. Very consistent.
Just over.
I think if I'm ranking them, I'd have Horn at the top. I think he's really building something. He's a good price, 906. Yeah, so he's similar price to McInerney, and then if you drop down 100K, it's Ross, who, look, I'm loving his work, but I don't know if I could trust. I don't know if you can trust any Richmond players, to be fair, at the moment. So look, ranking them, I'd go Horn Francis, McInerney, Ross.
Yep, don't mind that. Got another couple of super chats here as well. So Rummum is asking, is it dumb to go Heaney over Naz? I like the pod play. Tom, what do you like? You're obviously very keen on Naz, but what are your thoughts on Heaney as an option? Because I think you've said that Naz is your favourite target this week, so I know you're going to say you'd go Naz, but what are your thoughts on Heaney?
I still really like Heaney. I just don't particularly like Western Bulldogs. Melbourne's okay, even though on DFS they are an orange team. North aren't particularly easy either. Heaney's is an awesome player in great form. I can't tell you not to go Heaney. I'm just super hot on Naz, and I know Naz has been getting some slander from certain people in the chat. He has had quite a tough start to the year run-wise and walks into an easy run. Like, I don't mind. If you like the pod, if you like going a bit different, Heaney, great player. Maybe with somebody that I would be looking to bring in if I wasn't bringing, if I was could pay that much this week. But I just think Nas is just I don't think we should overthink it. But that's just me.
Yeah, I like the Naz play. I think I'll be going there anyway. And it's not obviously dumb to go Heaney over. Just the Dogs matchup obviously is not great on paper. Maybe Bont a bit banged up. Richards obviously had a couple of things to deal with, injuries to deal with, and Libby won't be there. So maybe it's not as tough at least this week for Sydney. But then I think Stolstrup will go to Heaney next week. I think Melbourne have shown a willingness to tag when there's an obvious sort of guy they're coming up against the tag. And I think Heaney's probably that guy. So I think he might get a Stolstrup tag. I think Stolstrup's a bigger body, can probably match up well. And he's also been playing in defence a bit on the weekend there as well. And then he's got probably Foss the week after. Collingwood, he'll be fine. Maybe Perryman. And then he's got Mullen. So he's actually probably got maybe three tags minimum in the next probably 5-6 weeks. So that's probably just by one flag on Heaney there. But if you like him, go for it because if anyone can break a tag, I think Heaney's one of those guys as he can go forward and kick a bag. Shake and Bakes has got this super chat. Thank you, mate. So ranked 702 at the moment. So nicely done. Now, Cash Gen, his team value is 23.35 million, which is very, very nice. I think that's in the top 1,000 for team value. And that's with people playing for the team value prize. So congrats on great rank. And Cash Gen, you're in a fantastic spot. And he says, could I fade Anderson as well? To be honest, Shake and Bakes, you're in a great spot, but I'd continue. I'd get Anderson. Keep the cash gen going. Like, depending on what other moves you can make and what other move you would be doing instead of Anderson. But I just think it's going to make a lot of cash. Why not keep getting the cash gen? Go one down to Anderson, someone up, and do that. That's what I'd be doing, Shake and Bakes. But, mate, you are absolutely flying. So congrats on a great start to the season. That is for sure. Let's keep going through some more questions. So next question we've got from Story Sprints. Tommy's asking about thoughts on holding Dev Rob another week to loop. I'm assuming that's like you're trading out maybe Gruel, like Jagger, guys like that instead. And Jakes, would you be trading them over Dev Rob, particularly if you've got an early VC that pops?
Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry.
Thoughts on holding Dev Rob for another week and
yeah, I'm doing it.
Just trading out the other rookies.
Yeah, I'm doing it. It depends on how many red dots you have, but to me, there's no standout forward rookie option unless you're going to sideways that to a Zerha and take that punt. So I'm happy holding Dev Rob there. Like in my personal case, I've got 29 red dots other than him. So that red dot's actually a useful VC looper for me. So yeah, you can definitely hold Dev Rob. Do other things.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at doing there as well. Like spoiler alert, Grundy, I'm probably looking at VCing against a third year sort of ruck for the Dogs make his debut. If he goes big, I'll probably look at holding Dev Rob as that looper. So yep, I do like it. Will is asking about what two to field out of Jai Sarong, Jacob Farrow, Lockie Jakes, Josh Lindsay. Well, I think you're fielding one of Sarong, Jakes, and Lindsay, because I think Farrow's a lock on field. I know he scored low on the weekend, but Collingwood is the best matchup halfback. So you're putting him on field there. Jordox, you've had to pick one of Josh Sarong against the Dogs, Lockie Jakes against Sydney, and Josh Lindsay against St Kilda. Who would you put on field?
I would go with. That's really hard. It's really hard. They're all comparable. I'd maybe go Jakes, back him to bounce back, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in any order of what they finish on for this round scoring wise. But agree on Farrow.
Yeah. Any of the three could go well, because it wouldn't shock you if Jakes goes back to halfback and puts up a better score. So just something to watch there. Lee Everett, Tom is asking thoughts on trading out McAndrew early to get Brodie Grundy this week. So I think I saw someone earlier in the chat before said that they've heard from a couple of respected people on X that there's a chance that he was to get rested potentially this week. I haven't heard anything about that. Like, it wouldn't I don't think it worked, but would it shock you if Fort's back in, Brisbane dual rucks, do they bring Rob back in? Like, I don't want it to happen, but could it happen? But then again, McAndrew had his best score when Rob was in the team. So, but Tom, your thoughts on trading McAndrew early?
I mean, you can, and obviously we all will be if he gets rested. So you definitely can. That's the kind of play which could really work. Going early on a really popular player like that. I think if he plays, he will still. He had quite a poor game on the weekend and still got to a mid-60 score. I just think that floor is so high for him, given he will dominate most hit-out contests against the opposition ruck. So that floor is so high that even when he doesn't do much around the ground, which he's not amazing at, he's going to get so many hit-outs that his floor is quite high. So I think you can hold. I am holding, like, break-evens at 48. I see him averaging maybe 75 from here, so there's still a little bit of cash to eke out of that. I'm waiting for an English to be back. I don't really know where I'm going, but if you want to get Grundy, if you don't have Grundy, you want to get Grundy, you can definitely go there.
Yeah. I think that's probably where I'd be looking as well, because, like, I've already got Grundy, so the guy I'd be going up to would be, say, like a Max Gawn, right? And I don't really want to have to pay up, obviously, because I think he's going to drop a little bit in cash. But actually, to be fair, I was going to say it might drop in cash because he's breaking 136. He could go 150 this week and go up in price. So, I was
going to say.
And I'm pretty sure Max Heath played pretty limited game time, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he only
super
played
low game time,
27%. Like, what was the point? So maybe that was just a 1 week, and that wasn't going to work.
And yet, first time Max Gawn hasn't taken a mark in a game in a very long time, and he missed a ton.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that Max does this, though. Like, we know Max has a couple of games where there's been times where, like, being the Anzac Day Eve game, like, I watch this pretty closely every year, and Max Gawn for some reason turns it on in these games, and he may be struggling with marks and, as I said, dinner plate hands. But then all of a sudden he clunks everything. So it's only a matter of time before he starts clunking everything again. The fact that you still got to a 93 in a tough matchup with 0 marks is impressive. So I still think he is a solid enough option there. And I might have to go there if McAndrew was to be rested. Brad Smith is saying, is Jordox AI or does he just have the hair rollers in? No, he's just eating his dinner. So that's what he's got.
Yes. And it's taken me so long because I keep stopping to talk, but I'm nearly there. You'll see my beautiful face soon.
Yeah. Do you have any hair rollers at the moment?
No comment.
I like that. Eskimo Brothers saying trade or hold Zorko. Also still have Dev Robertson. So, Tom, I think Zorko listed 1 to 2 weeks on the injury report. I think we've probably said from the moment he got injured, we saw it was, the moment it came out, he was 2 to 3 weeks away. We were both probably think he misses the 3 because they got Essendon, and Brisbane have already shown how conservative they are with their star players. Like, look at McCluggage. Like, had a game back, and they thought, yep, let's. The game was there to be won as well. Like, it was a close game, but they still played him for mid 60%. Like, went up at 10% from the previous week. So I'm worried about when Zorko comes back.
Yeah, everyone can sit there for me. Like I as I said earlier, with Zorko, if you can, this is where I'd be tempted to see if you can do two things. Like, can you go down to a Newman and then still get an upgrade on the other side of it? That could be a play, or you might even be able to combine Rob and Zorko to get a premium forward and a Newman. Then you can deal with two. It does mean you miss Anderson, but like that's the kind of trades I'd be looking at, especially if you've got a little bit of cash in the bank to get the forward you might want.
Yeah, I like it. Stematic has got this question here, and as Jordox does, turn the camera on for those watching along at home. Stematic is asking, hey lads, thoughts on Windsor and Smith? Who's that? Who's the Smith? Jagger.
Jagger.
Okay. Yeah, thoughts on. Yeah, I was thinking. Baz was what's came to my head. I'm like, Baz, you're not trading with Baz, are you? Surely not. But he's like, yeah. So Josh asked about thoughts on Windsor and Jagger to Anderson and Newman, or Rechko and Naz.
Rechko and Naz, and yeah, I'll probably go Rechko and Naz. I mean, sort of any permutation that gets you Naz is probably going to win it for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Are you in agreement there, Tom?
I think this is really close. I'm probably also Naz. I'm not a lover of it. Like I think I'm Newman and Anderson. You can get Naz next week. You can't get Anderson next week. This is Anderson's last week. Minus 30 break even. Going to go up a whole lot of cash this week. And you're one step closer to that. I think this is the last week you can get Anderson because that job security and role security isn't that strong. So the longer you leave off, the closer it is to that changing. So I think I'm going Anderson and Newman.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Very, very tricky one. We've got next one. Shannon Barron asking about VC Grundy to Dacos or Baz. Shannon, unfortunately, you have to wait till Thursday when the captains do drop on the channel. But safe to say those three players will be in the top 10. Let's just put it that way. And one does feature. Well, one of those, I'll say, features pretty high. Next question is from the Great Wall of Jinby. I like that one. What do you guys? Who do you guys like out of Sanders and Chad Warner? So Jordox, where would you go there out of those two?
Let's have a look. My first thought is actually Sanders. I'm just not big on Chad Warner. He really makes me nervous.
Taezer jumped on Chad Warner last week, so
yeah. No, I like Sanders. I like what he's doing. Libba's out. Treloar will be back this week, but I think he's doing enough to keep a spot in that midfield at the minute. So Warner's just too unpredictable for me. Yeah, I'll go Sanders.
Yep, don't mind that one. I'm Carlito is asking about Roberts or Naz this week. So, Tom, I think the main question probably here is Roberts got an amazing matchup this week. Collingwood. Is it too late to get Roberts? Was it you had to jump on last week and now the value's gone, so you go Naz?
It depends. To be fair, it depends how you value Roberts. If you think Roberts is going to average 110 for the rest of the year, you can definitely go Roberts and get Nas next week. You definitely can do that. I'm a little bit less strong on Roberts. Even though I got him last week, I just don't see him as 110 plus guy. I think it slows down.
I got him probably 100 to 105 I think you may be similar.
Yeah, I'm kind of 105, 108 maybe. I think he'll have some lower scores in there eventually, especially if he keeps going very well with Essendon being much more competitive. There might be some kind of attention goes his way at some point. But yeah, you definitely bring him. If you're keen on him, you can bring him in 100%. Because Nas will still be there for a similar price to what Roberts is this week, next week. Given you are going to miss West Coast under the roof.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, could be a big one. That's for sure.
That's my. He went 76 last year. As someone in the chat pointed out, he went 76 last year, but Nas goes all right with CBAs.
To be fair, like looking at Nas in his last 4 games, so just a tiny bit of sneak peek into early captain's research. Nas has only had 1 ton in his last 4 against West Coast, and that ton was 100 on the dot. So just something to look at. I think he does go big, though.
That's because he played half back, and we are bad. We were hard for half back because the ball never went into the
whereas now in the mid, I agree. I think it goes much better.
Yeah, I mean, Nasai's record when he gets 50% CBAs, he averages 118. 180. Sorry, I need to add the games in. Sorry, I was 2 seconds.
I like that. He averages 118.
Last season in 6 games where he got 50% CBAs, he averaged 118. For someone in the chat was like, "Oh, he only scores in halfback. He averaged 118 last year with 50% CBAs." So it's not that bad.
He goes all right back there.
Liam
Marks is asking about Justin McInerney or Cozzy Pickett. I'm Cozzy. I'm still Cozzy. I love Cozzy. I'm probably maybe a little bit biased. I brought him in a few weeks ago and love watching him. I wasn't actually that unhappy with the 80 on the weekend, considering that it was against Brisbane, and they were sort of no tag per se, but they were certainly keeping close attention to him. Everyone was sort of looking at where he was. They were making sure he couldn't just keep running on and getting involved in all these possession chains. He's got Richmond this week, great matchup. Sydney next week, I do think he cops a Jordan tag, but then goes West Coast. So you might cop a lower one, like a 70 next week. Then you get a couple of good scores. So I am Cozzy out of those 2. Red Lighting is asked about, could you boys please rank these pre and trading options? So here's a short list. So Jordox, he's asking about Nas, Whitfield, Sinclair, Merritt as the 4. And he's got a second part to the question, but first, what would you do with those 4?
Nas to start, and then between Sinclair and Whitfield, Sinclair, Whitfield, and then Merritt. Yeah, I don't buy the Merritt score. I mean, it was great, but no, I wouldn't be going Merritt.
Yeah, he didn't have his CBAs weren't as high, and you sort of think he went to half back because Ridley went off. Like he 51 point last quarter. I think he went fairly well in the third quarter as well. Still think he's good. Like he's a good player, and he's going to be a good option to have on your side. But he's probably at a price where he's getting a little bit more expensive than some of these other ones.
Every year he has a lull, and you get him as a bargain. So just wait for that. He had a 99-point second half. It's pretty big.
Yeah. And we know that we know he's capable of that as well, right?
Yeah.
He's had 5 tons out of 6 this year, Zach Merritt.
Yeah, so he's been really solid, right? That's what I mean. So you're probably waiting for that lull. I think he's got Brisbane next week, and I think he's got another tougher matchup after that as well. So maybe a couple.
Brisbane and GWS in 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. So maybe get some attention made from because Bedford tried to go with Heaney in that game early. Didn't work particularly well, but I think Heaney was just too big. So and then Redlining also asking about should I get a Roma or Zerha? So Tom, we haven't chatted about Rome Marshall when we're nearly at the hour mark. We haven't chatted about him just yet. TDK list is a test, but is there a world we could still jump on it? Because watching him at that game, it wasn't like the first 5 rounds of the year. It was purely he was forward, and then he would go into the chop out for TDK. TDK was the number 1 ruck. Whereas last week it was different, right? And I know that TDK got hurt. I think it was late in the second quarter. But Marshall, a number of times, I didn't mention this on Sunday with DC and Liam, he started on the wing and then he rucked around the ground and TDK went a bit more forward. So do you think maybe is that a sign of maybe how they're going to try and utilise both? Because I thought Marshall was pretty influential in that game and a reason why St Kilda nearly got over the line in the end. So what are your thoughts on Ryan Marshall? And then obviously we talked about Zerha before.
I want to watch one more of Rowan Marshall. This is break even 76. I really liked what I saw in that first quarter when there was both of them. That Rowan Marshall was the number one ruck apart from the centre bounces. Much like a lot of teams are deploying a big jumper, like McAndrew did it for Gold Coast.
Lecalier did it against
Lecalier did it for GWS. Employing
for the Pies.
Yeah.
But as in like other rucks who are big jumpers for the centre throw, centre restart, centre bit, and then having their bigger bodied wrestle type ruck who's a better intercept mark around the ground. If I see that gain, then priced in the mid 70s, I like the Rowan Marshall pick. I need to see it another week because otherwise, he averages 59 this year. So
you'd entertain it. You'd entertain it even if DeConning got up.
Yeah, I don't want to trade in a problem. And that's why I'm not on Zerha's hat as strong this week.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to trade in someone that I'm going to have to trade out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And if that role shifts for Zerha or Marshall, I need a little body of work to be confident to jump. And that in upgrade season, for me, the cadence you get out of the 1 up, 1 down cadence, if you're trading in someone you then have to trade out at this time of year, then you have one less premium on field than the crowd. And that's really where it can hurt you just before the buys when you're fielding rookies and other people are fielding premium players. So that's how I like to approach it. So I want to see it one more game. Hopefully TDK plays. If he doesn't play, doesn't teach you much. But as a Hail Mary, if you've got a higher risk appetite than I do, you can definitely go for Rowan Marshall. Man, he averaged 117 2 years last year, or he's averaged 110 plus regularly in his career.
Yeah, and he's averaged 90 before, even with Paddy Ryder.
Yeah, he knows how to score fantasy points. So you can have a punt, but if he goes back to that forward bit of ruck bench for a lot kind of game, then it's going to be a filter. So
I think there's an outside chance Max King is back. Is that? Does that sound right? Anyway, that was
he's a test. Yeah, it was a test. So there's a chance that he's back this week, which would help. I think that would also help free up Marshall to do the wing and take the ruck around the ground because he wouldn't be relied upon as being a deep forward target. So I think that would be a good thing. So I'm hoping Max King plays this week, as Tom said. I think it's a perfect watch. He goes even if he goes 120, 130, he's probably going to go up 40, 50K. Still going to be 800K. And
it's 100% roll.
Yeah, I want to see how many ruck contests he's got this week.
It's almost that if TDK doesn't play, we're still stabbing in the dark. He's going to score really well in the ruck as a number one.
If he's done one ruck, he's going to go pretty well. So, so Mitchell is asking about this player here, and the player I'm going to say is right. Who do you guys think is the 5th highest averaging player so far this season? Out of everyone.
It's definitely Cal Wilkie.
Yeah,
and
he's a fifth like that.
I've been seeing him in my draft league this week.
Yeah, I only know because I spoke about him on Finders Keepers, and I didn't even realize till I was looking at it. He's the number 1 defender, number 1, baby.
Yeah, and as
crazy.
I think they said on First Crack on Sunday night about how it's not too often you have a guy win a team the game, and then a guy playing on that player, but both of them were still probably winners out of the game because Cal Wilkie was one that was best and was fantastic. And Tex kicked 5 and won the game.
He was good, Tex. He was beautiful. But Wilkie, he's turned every week. I don't think there's many left if any, because Gawn was on that run. Has anyone else turned every week?
You got 94 in round 3.
Wilkie.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sorry. But what he has done, he's played 100% of game time for the season, has not hit the bench once. Now, that is what you want in fantasy. There's nothing worse than seeing your player run to the bench for a rest. This guy doesn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, why not, right? My one worry is...
He's pretty expensive.
I say one worry. He's averaging 113.
And they've got a great run coming up. We got West Coast aren't great for defenders, but
that is it depends on what game style Ross wants him to play. If he wants him just to possess, and these sides,
no, I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's sustainable. It's just
if he was like 100 maybe 50k cheaper, like in the around 900 just under, you could definitely look at it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he
did a few weeks ago.
He's gone up, but no, he's one of the most expensive players in the game. Like he's not that far off of being like 1.1 million, and he might be there in a week or two. So I think it's just.
I don't see it as sustainable, unfortunately. I really hope it is, and I'm wrong, because that would be a great story.
He is
just Tom Stewart.
Well, Tom Stewart's the guy that springs to mind, but it will get to a point where clubs, definitely not Adelaide, because we never think like this, clubs will stop kicking it to him and kicking it to his area because he's just reading everything. So, yeah.
But the amount of +6s he gets off the kick out as that guy in the back pocket, he gets like every single one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Pretty crazy. Yeah. So how good would it be if you just have like Naz and Wilkie, and then Wilkie just?
I've got double GWS defense, and that's a glorious watching every time Ash and Whitfield combine.
I will say this, and because I know that there are a few people that don't tune into the watch longs, right? I am, and I don't know if I said this on the pod yet, and if I have, I apologise. I'm convinced that Lockie Whitfield's done something to Ash. I'm convinced. Like he doesn't. He's passed to him once in 3 weeks. And I've watched it closely, and I'm convinced that Lockie Ash does not like Whitfield. He kicked him once for a +6 last week, and I was like, "Holy crap, that happened!" Outside of that, doesn't happen. So, unless I'm not seeing it, interesting. Final question we'll do for the pod is from Lauren, and she's asking, "Hey legends, feel a bit behind this year, so thinking of going early on McAndrew. And getting Grundy in, Budrick goes to Anderson." So we're talking about that a bit before, Lauren, and we think you can definitely do that. I think they're good trades. If you want to go early, that's fine. So we'll end off on this one from Sweats. He's asking about thoughts on Budrick and Jakes to Petrarca and Rechko. Also need to get rid of Lombard or Watkins, but I don't know any low price forward to trade in. So Tom, would you tip those two trades?
Yeah, I'm not huge on track, but I like the fact that will get a Lombard or Watkins off your ground. So that's a vast upgrade. So yeah, like it.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
But all I've heard in all the questions is Rechko or Anderson. I just don't forget about Edwards at Adelaide. I don't think he'll be out of the side anytime soon. He was, I think, 68% CBAs, and he was super important with those centre clearances.
Yeah, good. No, he's very good.
I hope he stays in the team. I really do. So, Rumham saying Bale's watch long is 50% talking about Ash hating Whitfield. Lol. Only when Giants play. Yes, I'll touch on it there because I got Whitfield. I don't have Ash. So, but yeah,
just own both of them. It's a glorious watch. All that side to side.
I want to because of the round 13 buy for the Giants. So yeah, I will get Ash at some point. But that will wrap us up for the Q&A.
Hold on. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. At Charles Royce reckons 4 weeks in a row not answering my question. So let's answer his question, which is just above. Need a forward as I can't field Lombard and Doveston. Roma, if Roller's there, Murphy Reed or Chad Warner or someone else, sub 800. So let's push Royal Marshall to the side. We just want to have a look at him first. So Murphy Reed or Chad Warner or someone else, sub 800K. I'm all in on Murphy Reed. I was just wrong. I was just wrong on him, and I'm all in. So I'd be going Reed out of those guys. Fellas?
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably go Murphy as well. Murphy's been like Tom. You were on it before, and
Yeah, I called it pre-season and then didn't do it. So well done, me.
And apologies, Charles Royce, for not answering your question. There's so many questions here. I'm trying to host and go through the chat at the same time. It is so difficult, which it's only because you guys. It's fantastic, right? You guys getting in the chat, getting in the comments. It's fantastic answering all these questions. And I wish that we could sit here for hours on end answering every single question. But unfortunately, Jordox has got to go to bed. So we can't. And Tom has to rest after a number of days working pretty hard. So we will wrap up there. But if you do want to guarantee an answer to your question, where I do answer all the questions, you can head to the Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics there. And we've got the Q&A tomorrow. So we answer all the questions there. But hopefully we can answer a heap more of your questions on Friday. Pre-lockout chat, same time as always, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Perth time. Hopefully we'll be answering a heap more of the questions there. And also didn't plug it before as well, but make sure you do check out our partners for the season, Game Day Squad. It's a great time to get involved because it is weekly competitions, cash prizes up for grabs, packs on the platform up for grabs, and there's a heap of competitions you can get involved in. So use the code BAILSDT at sign up and you get yourself some free packs to get your Game Day Squad journey started. So make sure you guys do head over there. And there's not just AFL, you've got NRL, you've got the IPL, you've got Big Bash when it's back later in the year, you've got when the Cricket World Cup's on, you've got the NBL, you've got the AFLW when that's on. There's plenty of things to get involved on Game Day Squad. So make sure you head over to gamedaysquad.com.au and get involved. But Tom, what are you looking at doing with your trades as of Tuesday night?
I am currently doing one of those rookies, currently Jagger and Dante Vicentini, who has gone down in cash, so he got to go this week, to Nick Newman and Angus Anderson.
Yeah, like it, mate. Jordox, have you got your trades there for us?
I don't know. I don't play anymore. I think I've just got to go to Conning to Grundy. Just get off this shit show. You know, I still have faith into Conning in a keeper league space, but no, God, what a disaster he's been. So I can go up to Grundy, but that means Grind Myers has to go to someone who's, I think, sub 700 or sub 650, 600. So I don't know.
Do
I have a crack at Zerha?
I think he plays at least half back this week. At least this week. So you make cash from it. I think you probably do that.
Yeah. But the good thing is I did get Anderson last week, so that was a good move. And I got Cozzy last week as well, who 80, but he'll be better the next few weeks. So just got to get rid of these bad calls that I made, and maybe I can make a late jump. Late, it's round 7, but you know what I mean.
Still plenty of still got 3 quarters of the season to go, so still plenty of time to make up.
Very true,
for sure. Like people were ranked well outside 20, 30k a few weeks ago, and like they're all ranked. Like I think DC, I don't know where DC started, but he's top 1,000 now. So like 3 weeks ago he was outside 10k, so it can all change in a few weeks. So
I've gone up 12k in 2 weeks, so you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. About 17k as well. So my trades, I think someone mentioned my trades before mine. So I've currently got Lockie Jakes to Angus Anderson, and then I have got Jagger Smith to it would be Jakes up to Nick Newman, Jagger down to Angus Anderson. So that's currently what I'm looking at doing there as well. I did really want to get Marshall. I just don't know if I can do it just yet, but that's currently what I'm looking at doing. But boys, thanks for jumping on once again. Tom, where can listeners find you and your team name for foes?
Yeah, I'm Pom United, and you can find me on X at Tom_Hales_. Have a good week.
Thank you, mate. Get some sleep and recover from a busy few days at work. Jordox, mate, where can the people find you, your team name for foes, and where can they find the latest episode of Finders Keepers, because that dropped this afternoon as well?
Late last night, got that one
Late
out.
last night. I saw the tweet today and get in your ears, so I thought it was today. But
no worries. So at Jordox 2020 on X, team name is Leather Poisoned, and Yeah, go if you play in a keeper dynasty or even just a single season draft league, go and check out the podcast I started last year called Finders Keepers. I must apologise to Bales and the team. I mean, it seems at this point in the year I've saved all my gold for that podcast and not so much this one, because for every wrong move I'm making here, I'm making some good calls on the other one. So you can find that podcast on all the usual spots, and go follow the page on X at FindKeepAFL, and give it a listen, and hopefully you like it. And that's it for me. And I promise to be a little cheerier next week, regardless of how I go in fantasy.
Beautiful, thank you, mate. You're fine. You got your wins out the start, and you're pretty good throughout. So
good.
Beautiful. You can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. You can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X, and my team name is Bales Nails to add to foes there as well. We'll be live throughout the week with all the other usual content dropping, but next time we'll chat to you live will be on Friday afternoon, chatting about with our pre-lockout chat. So make sure you guys tune on Friday afternoon, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Perton, answering all your AFL fantasy questions ahead of Friday night lockout. But yeah, we'll chat to you guys soon. Like, subscribe on YouTube if you can, and also 5-star rating review if you're listening on Spotify, Apple would be very much appreciated. We'll catch you guys later in the week. So thanks, everyone. We'll chat to you then. See ya.
See ya.
Bye-bye.